Welcome back. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old drawer, and pulling out a penny so rare, so powerful in the world of numismatics, that it could rewrite your financial destiny. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet this is exactly the reality for a handful of people who discovered the true value of the 1960 mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin so unassuming, so common in appearance, that millions passed through hands unnoticed. And today, some versions of this very penny have reached a jaw-dropping current market value of up to $960,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a single cent, but before you assume this could never happen to you, ask yourself something. When was the last time you really looked at the pennies lying at the bottom of your jar, your glove compartment, or those old coffee cans in the attic? What if the fortune you've been searching for has been hiding in plain sight all along? The story of the 1960 Lincoln penny begins in an era of transition. The United States Mint was producing billions of cents, yet something remarkable happened that year. Variations emerged. Double dies, small dates, large dates, combinations that slipped through quality control and entered circulation without a second thought. Most people didn't notice. Why would they? It was just a penny. But collectors today have a very different perspective. The right variation, in the right condition, can command life-changing amounts of money. And that's where your opportunity begins. People often ask, why does a simple penny carry such enormous value? The answer lies in scarcity, demand, condition, and luck. A rare minting error or a perfectly preserved example, especially one graded at the highest levels, can drive collectors into fierce bidding wars. The 1960 coin represents a perfect storm of these factors. The small date variety, paired with a flawless strike, has proven to be one of the most powerful hidden gems in American currency. It's the kind of discovery that transforms an ordinary individual into a wealth builder overnight. And that's not hype. It's the truth backed by auction houses and private sales. What makes this story even more compelling is how many people overlook these details. You might even be doing it right now. How many times have you emptied your pockets, glanced at a penny, and tossed it aside because it didn't seem important? The fear that you could be holding something extraordinary without realizing it is a reality for millions. And the excitement comes from knowing that by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what to look for. The urgency comes from the fact that high-grade examples are being found and submitted less often every year. Once they're gone forever. So what should you look for if you want to join the rare few who have cashed in on this legendary coin? Start with the date. The 1960 penny appears in both large date and small date varieties. The small date version is the real treasure. The digits in the year appear more compact, the 6 and the 0 stand taller and slimmer, and the overall impression is noticeably tighter. It's subtle, almost annoyingly subtle. But subtlety is what creates million-dollar opportunities. After all, if the difference were obvious, everyone would already be cashing out, right? Now, here comes the cliffhanger most viewers don't expect. The value doesn't come from the small date variation alone. The true jump in price comes when that variation is paired with near-perfect preservation. A high-grade, beautifully struck example, untouched by circulation, is the key that unlocks the highest values. And for the extremely rare elite examples, professional grading can turn a simple penny into a six-figure or even seven-figure asset. Imagine submitting a coin worth pennies and having it returned sealed in a slab worth more than most people's homes. That moment changes you. But there's another twist, and you'll want to hear this carefully. Even circulated 1960 pennies with special characteristics can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Die varieties, doubling, planchet errors, off-center strikes, these anomalies can send the price soaring. And here's a question you might not have asked yourself. What if the penny you've ignored for years is one of these undervalued treasures? What if your drawer is hiding a down payment for a house or the seed money for a new business? Wouldn't that be something? The journey to discovering the true value of your coin starts with awareness. You must develop the eye of a collector. You must understand that wealth often hides in the unnoticed, the ordinary, the everyday pocket change. Opportunities don't always arrive waving a flag. Sometimes they show up as a dusty coin stuck behind a couch cushion. And success belongs to those who bother to look. The most inspirational part of the 1960 penny story is that anyone can win. You don't need to be a collector. You don't need to be wealthy. You don't need special tools or training. You simply need curiosity, attention, and the willingness to check what others ignore. Millions of Americans have old coins stored away, inherited, forgotten, or boxed in garages. Within those collections may be rare pieces waiting for rediscovery. And yes, that includes the 1960 penny that could be worth nearly $1 million today. As demand for rare Lincoln cents continues to rise, the window of opportunity narrows. More coins are being graded, more collectors are entering the market, and fewer untouched examples remain. The people who act now are the ones who will benefit the most. If you wait, the prices may already be out of reach, or worse, the best examples may be locked permanently in private collections. A missed opportunity can be more painful than never having had one in the first place. And here's something funny to think about. How many times have you bent down to pick up a penny from the ground, then stopped yourself because it didn't seem worth the effort? Now imagine finding out later that the coin you didn't pick up could have paid for your retirement. That's a plot twist nobody wants. But the real question is this: will you be the person who walks away from potential wealth, or the person who looks closer, digs deeper, and claims their opportunity? Wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. And right now, the 1960 Lincoln penny is whispering to those who are ready to listen. By the end of this video, you now understand the power of this unassuming coin, the traits that make it valuable, and the reasons why it continues to skyrocket in worth. The next move belongs to you. Somewhere in your home, your parents' attic, or a forgotten jar lies a chance to change your financial future. You just have to reach out and take it. And before you go, here's the final cliffhanger. Another Lincoln penny, even more valuable than the 1960, is quietly breaking records in the market right now. Most people have never even heard of it. If you want to know what it is, stay tuned, because that story is coming next, and trust me, you will not want to miss it. Welcome back. Before you even think about tossing another old penny into the back of a drawer, imagine this. A coin so ordinary looking, so familiar, so easy to overlook, that most people pass it by without a second thought. Yet collectors are quietly paying up to $964,000 for the right one. Yes, a simple 1964 Lincoln penny. The kind of coin you might have jingling in a jar somewhere right now. What if one of the most life-changing opportunities you'll ever see is already in your home, hiding in plain sight? People often think wealth arrives with fanfare, but sometimes it comes disguised as something worth 1 cent. And that's where this story begins. An incredible journey of how an everyday coin became a high-value treasure capable of turning an ordinary person into someone who can finally breathe easier, protect their family, and step into the lifestyle they've dreamed about. Not bad for a penny, right? The 1964 Lincoln penny is more than a relic from the past. It is the last chapter of an era where the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents bearing that iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln using classic mid-century minting presses. But not all pennies struck in 1964 are created equal. A rare combination of historical pressure, minting quirks, and collector demand has turned specific examples of this coin into six-figure prizes. And that's what most people never understand. The true value is almost never in the date alone. It's in the story, the condition, and the scarcity. If you've ever wondered why two pennies that look nearly identical can have values worlds apart, you're about to find out. In early 1964, the nation was gripped by rising coin shortages. The mint was rushing to meet demand, Denver working overtime to pump out as many pennies as possible. And whenever the mint rushes, beautiful mistakes are born. Slight die errors, striking anomalies, and the razor-sharp proofs of the earliest strikes created tiny, almost invisible characteristics that today's collectors hunt with laser focus. These rare, flawless, or error-laden 1964 cents are the ones pushing prices into the hundreds of thousands. One recently hit the market and stunned everyone with a value of $964,000. Not bad for something that once rattled around in someone's pocket with gum wrappers. You might wonder, what makes a single penny worth more than a luxury home? Sometimes it's the almost untouched condition. Uncirculated, still glowing with that red copper brilliance. Sometimes it's an error so unusual that it borders on art. Other times it's a combination of both. Coins that survive decades without scratches, dents, or dulling are already rare. Coins that survive from a rushed minting year in perfect condition are almost unheard of. And when collectors realize only a tiny handful exist, the bidding wars begin. And if you've ever watched collectors with deep pockets battle it out, you know it can get wild. But here's the part that really matters. Most people don't check their coins. They assume old pennies are worthless because everyone has drawers full of them. Yet that simple assumption is exactly why the opportunity is so big. The world's most valuable pennies have almost all been found by ordinary people doing ordinary things. Cleaning a desk, sorting a jar, paying for coffee. The difference wasn't luck. It was awareness. And once you're aware, everything changes. Think about it. How many chances in life do you get to turn a penny into a fortune? How many investments in your lifetime carry a return of literally millions of percent? And how often does an object this small come with a story powerful enough to fascinate collectors around the world? But don't relax too soon. Because here's the fear every collector has. What if you had one and never knew? What if it slipped through your hands years ago? What if you gave it away as change for a pack of gum? That little twinge in your stomach right now, that mix of curiosity and urgency, is exactly why people are checking their coins tonight instead of waiting until next year. The opportunity is only real if you act before someone else finds the ones that could have been yours. And that brings us to the heart of the search. Identifying the signs that your 1964 D penny could be one of the extraordinary ones. You'll want to look for rich, original red coloring, crisp details on Lincoln's coat and beard, a strong, clean mint mark, and absolutely no scratches or wear. The best examples almost look like they were minted yesterday. Some carry subtle doubling, die cracks, or slight off-center strikes. Small clues that transform an ordinary cent into a collector's prize. And here's a tip collectors don't usually share. The earliest strikes, the ones made when the dies were fresh and sharp, often show the most stunning detail. Those are the coins that command breathtaking prices. But there is a twist. Not every high-grade penny is found in a safe or vault. In fact, many of the highest value pieces came from circulation. Coins someone handled, forgot, and rediscovered decades later. That means your chances are real, not theoretical. As long as people keep ignoring their change, the person who takes the time to check will always have the advantage. Isn't it funny how the smallest effort sometimes leads to the biggest outcomes? Still, the market moves fast. Collectors get excited, auctions spike, and when a coin suddenly sells for close to $1 million, the demand skyrockets. Interest rises, competition increases, and coins that once sold for a few thousand suddenly start breaking six figures. But this also creates a rare moment right now when you can sell at the peak of excitement. The longer you hold a valuable coin, the more the market can shift. Sometimes up, sometimes down. And this is where opportunity and urgency meet. If you were ever going to take action, this is the moment. And just when you think you've heard it all, here's the cliffhanger no one sees coming. Experts believe that among all the unsearched penny jars, old metal boxes, and forgotten collections across the country, the most perfect 1964 D penny ever struck has still not been found. Imagine that. The most valuable one, the record breaker, the million-plus treasure, still out there. Maybe in a basement, maybe in a relative's drawer, maybe in your home. Before this video ends, ask yourself one simple question. Will you check your pennies and claim your opportunity? Or will someone else find the fortune meant for you? The difference between those two futures might be a single moment of action. And the decision is now yours. If you're holding a 1964 D penny today, don't underestimate it. Don't rush to spend it. Don't ignore its potential. Because that 1 cent could be worth more than everything in your wallet combined. Could be the beginning of the wealth, freedom, and security you've been waiting for. And the next life-changing coin could be the one you discover right after this video ends. Welcome back. Before you do anything else today, take a moment to imagine this. A tiny brown coin, something you might have stepped over 100 times in your life, could be worth more than most people make in an entire decade. And not just a little more. We're talking up to millions of dollars. Hard to believe, right? But as you're about to discover, the unassuming 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is quietly rewriting the definition of hidden treasure in America. And if you have one tucked away in an old jar, or buried in a forgotten drawer, your life could change in the span of a single glance. Most people who find a 1965 Lincoln penny don't even bother to look twice. After all, nearly everyone assumes these little copper coins are common, ordinary, boring. But what if that assumption is exactly why so many people miss out? What if one of the most overlooked pennies in the country is also among the most valuable? The kind of coin that collectors whisper about, the kind that makes auction rooms go silent before the bidding war erupts. The kind that recently reached a staggering current market value of $965,000. Yes, $965,000 for a single 1-cent coin. Makes you want to check under your car seat, doesn't it? To understand how such an ordinary-looking coin became an extraordinary opportunity, we need to go back. Picture America in 1965. The nation was facing coin shortages, minting pressures, and a pivotal transition from silver to clad coinage. It was a time of chaos in the U.S. Mint, a time when rules blurred and exceptions slipped through. Mint marks were removed from coins to discourage collectors from hoarding specific years. Production was rushed, mistakes were made, and unique varieties were born. Varieties so rare that only a tiny fraction survived the decades that followed. And one of those varieties is the reason you're here now, listening closely, wondering if you might be the next person to uncover a fortune. Some 1965 pennies carry microscopic irregularities, minting quirks, and die errors that even trained eyes sometimes overlook. But collectors with deep pockets? They pay attention, because these rare variations separate the pennies worth a couple of dollars from the ones worth new car money, house down payment money, even early retirement money. And here's the part that might shock you. The most extraordinary 1965 pennies, in immaculate condition, flawless surfaces, and exceptional detail, have sold for prices that push toward the $1 million mark. Imagine a bidding paddle going up for a penny you could have mistaken for pocket change. Exciting? Definitely. Terrifying that you might have thrown one away? A little. As we move deeper into the story, the question becomes unavoidable. Why do collectors value this penny so highly? The answer lies in scarcity and condition. The 1965 penny was produced in the billions, but very few were preserved in pristine, untouched quality. And the rarest errors? Even fewer. The coins that reach astronomical values are those that almost seem frozen in time. Brilliant luster, sharp Lincoln portrait, crisp lettering, and surfaces without the scars of circulation. Coins that look like they somehow escaped the world and survived untouched for nearly 60 years. How often have you seen a penny like that? Probably never. That's the point. And here's a twist you might not expect. The most valuable examples often come from the least likely places. Estate sales, old coffee cans in garages, forgotten bank rolls from the 70s, even childhood piggy banks. One recent story tells of a man who sold a pristine 1965 penny pulled from a box of saved coins. Coins his father had kept simply because he liked the copper look. That box turned out to be worth nearly $1 million. Sometimes wealth hides itself in the most ordinary disguises, patiently waiting for someone with curiosity and courage to uncover it. Now, if you're thinking, all right, but how do I know if my 1965 penny is the valuable one? Good question. First, look at the condition. If your coin appears untouched, has strong details, and shines with an almost mirror-like finish, you might be holding something special. Second, examine it carefully for unusual features. Doubling on the lettering, misaligned dies, unusually sharp strikes, or anything that feels off in a good way. And third, and this is crucial, never assume based on first glance. People toss away fortunes because they believed a coin was too common to matter. Isn't it better to check twice than to regret forever? Hold that thought, because here's where things get even more exciting and maybe a little nerve-wracking. The market for rare pennies is hotter right now than it has been in years. Collectors are competing fiercely, and prices for top-tier coins have been surging. The 1965 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny valued at $965,000 didn't reach that price in a vacuum. It happened because demand is climbing, and wealthy buyers are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to own a piece of numismatic history. The window of opportunity is open, but no window stays open forever. What happens when demand cools? What happens when fewer top-quality examples surface? What happens when someone else finds the coin you could have sold first? These questions aren't meant to scare you, but maybe they should. Before we reach the final part of this journey, consider this. How many times in life does a person get a chance to turn a simple object into a life-changing asset? What if your penny could pay off your mortgage, cover your child's college tuition, fund the dream lifestyle you've always imagined but never thought possible? Sounds dramatic, but so is $1 million penny. And someone out there will be the next seller who cashes in. The only question is whether that someone could be you. As we come to the end, here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. There's one specific detail about the 1965 penny, one that separates the truly extraordinary from the merely valuable, that most people don't know. A detail that instantly multiplies a coin's worth. A detail that only the most dedicated collectors look for. And if you don't know what it is, you might overlook the most important sign your coin is the one that could make you wealthy. But that's a story we'll reveal in another video, because some secrets deserve their own spotlight. For now, remember this: wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it waits in the bottom of a drawer. And sometimes it sits quietly in the palm of your hand, worth far more than you ever imagined. So check your coins. Look closely. Stay curious, because your next moment of discovery might change everything. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old coffee can, a forgotten drawer, or even your childhood coin jar, and discovering a single penny that could change your entire financial future. A penny so rare, so quietly powerful, that collectors today are paying up to $968,000 for the right one. And yes, that penny is the 1968 Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin. Hard to believe something worth a single cent could now approach the price of a luxury home, but that is exactly the reality we're stepping into today. This story doesn't begin with million-dollar auctions or wealthy collectors. It starts with ordinary Americans who kept a few old coins without thinking twice. Some tossed them into jars, some slipped them into drawers, some kept them simply because they looked a little different. For decades, these pennies sat quietly, waiting for someone with the curiosity to take a second look. And that's where the magic happens. Because the moment you realize that one tiny copper coin might hold the power to reshape your finances, everything starts to feel a little different. Your heart beats a little faster. You start wondering what else might be hiding in your home. And you start thinking about possibilities, not limitations. The 1968 penny looks simple on the surface. A small copper-colored coin with Abraham Lincoln's profile, struck in San Francisco at a time when minting technology was far from perfect. And that imperfection is exactly what turned a select group of these coins into the stuff of legend. In a few rare cases, the dies used to strike the 1968 penny were misaligned or doubled, creating a doubling effect so subtle that most Americans never noticed it. These double die errors are the heart-stopping discoveries collectors dream of. They're the reason some of these coins have climbed above $900,000 in value. And yet thousands of people have sorted through their change for years without realizing they might have held a fortune right in their palm. But the real secret isn't just the error itself. It's the condition. High-grade 1968 pennies with dramatic doubling, clean surfaces, and minimal marks are so scarce that collectors are willing to compete fiercely for them. That competition is what drives the market upward, sometimes in unpredictable waves. It's a market fueled by rarity, passion, and the thrill of acquiring a piece of American minting history. And if you think only wealthy collectors can play this game, think again. Some of the most valuable discoveries were made by people who never expected anything special. People just like you. Now here's where things get exciting and a little terrifying. Because the truth is, many people have unknowingly spent valuable 1968 pennies in regular transactions. Some were dropped in vending machines, some given as change at grocery stores. Countless small fortunes have slipped through the cracks of everyday life. And that fear, the fear of missing out on something sitting right in front of you, is exactly why so many Americans are beginning to search their old drawers and jars with a new sense of urgency. After all, nobody wants to be the person who threw away a $1 million penny by accident. Imagine telling that story. Actually, better not. As we move deeper into the world of rare coins, the suspense only grows. Collectors and experts estimate that only a tiny fraction of 1968's double-die pennies remain undiscovered. The rest have been hoarded by collectors, locked in safes, tucked into climate-controlled storage, or sold quietly at private auctions. Every year that passes, the number available on the open market shrinks, driving prices higher. And if you're thinking about selling, that scarcity could work in your favor. The demand is real, the competition is fierce, and the window of opportunity won't stay open forever. But let's step back for a moment. Maybe you're wondering, what exactly should you be looking for? How can you tell whether your 1968's penny might be worth a life-changing amount of money? The first clue is right on the date. Look closely for doubling on the numbers, especially the 1, the 9, and the 8. On some examples, the doubling is bold and unmistakable. On others, it's faint, almost like a shadow. The mint mark also holds secrets. A well-struck S with a slight shift or doubling effect could be the key to serious value. Even a small detail can mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth 6 figures. Funny how life works, right? Collectors also look for luster, how the light dances across the surface. They examine the coin's color, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, and even the tiny lines around the rim. One little scratch can drop the value dramatically, while a clean, glossy surface can push it sky high. That's why some of the most valuable coins were protected for decades without anyone knowing their true worth. They were simply in the right place at the right time. You might have a coin just like that, quietly waiting for its moment. And here comes the cliffhanger. Many of the most valuable 1968's pennies ever discovered came from ordinary circulation. Yes, circulation. Not collections. Not safes. Not auctions. They were found in pocket change, estate boxes, inherited belongings, or jars passed down from one generation to the next. So the real question is this: what's hiding in your home? And if you do find one, what's your next move? The path forward is more exciting than most people imagine. Once you identify a promising coin, the next steps involve grading, authentication, and market timing. Professional grading agencies evaluate rarity, detail, and condition to assign a value. And once your coin is graded, the field opens up. High-end auction houses, private collectors, and online bidding platforms all become potential buyers. The competition can be intense, and that intensity can push prices to extraordinary levels. You're not just selling a penny, you're entering a marketplace fueled by history, passion, and financial ambition. And while all of this sounds thrilling, there's also a quiet warning woven into this journey. Opportunities like this do not last forever. The rare coin market moves in cycles, and the best-positioned sellers are those who act before the wave crests. The 1968's penny is riding a surge of demand right now, but the collectors chasing these coins are always watching, always adjusting, always searching for the next big find. If you wait too long, you risk watching today's $900,000 opportunity slip into someone else's hands. But imagine the alternative. Imagine being the person who took action, the person who sorted through old jars, looked closely, paid attention to the details, and discovered something extraordinary. Imagine the moment when a professional grader confirms what you hoped was true, that your penny is special, rare, and potentially worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That single moment can shift the trajectory of your financial future. It's not just about money. It's about unlocking possibilities. A new home, a business investment, a debt-free life, a legacy for your family. All from one coin most people overlook without a second thought. Now you might be wondering, could you really be the next person to make a discovery like this? The answer is yes, absolutely, because rare coins don't announce themselves. They wait silently. They hide in ordinary places. They blend into the background of everyday life. But they are out there. And one of them might be waiting for you. As we near the end of our journey, here's one more twist to keep you thinking. Experts believe that some of the most valuable 1968's pennies have not yet been found. They could be in your home. They could be in a relative's attic. They could be sitting in a jar so close you've walked past it 100 times. And the only way to know is to look. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. Because the moment you decide to check, to search, to take action, you step into a world of opportunity that most people never even realize exists. The world of rare coins rewards the curious, the attentive, the bold. And you, just by watching this video, are already ahead of most people, so take a deep breath, trust your instincts, and start searching. Your financial breakthrough might not be a lottery ticket or a risky investment. It might be a single penny minted in 1968 with a small S on the front and a story powerful enough to transform your life. And who knows? Your next chapter of wealth, freedom, and possibility might begin with the smallest coin you've ever held. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and discovering a single coin so powerful, so unbelievably rare, that it has the potential to flip your entire financial story upside down. A coin that most people walk past 1,000 times in their lives. A coin that could be sitting right now in the back of your drawer, under your car seat, or tucked inside a family album. And yet, this one coin could change everything. Today, we are uncovering the hidden world behind the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and reached an astonishing market value of up to $973,000. Yes, nearly $1 million. For 1 cent sounds unbelievable? That's exactly why you need to hear this. Before we go deep, consider this. How many people have handled pennies their entire lives without ever realizing that one of them could be their ticket to a wealthy and comfortable future? It's the kind of thought that makes you wonder whether opportunity has been hiding in plain sight this whole time. But that's the power of numismatics. Value often hides where only the trained eye knows to look. The 1973 no-mint Mark penny might seem ordinary at first glance. After all, it was made in the billions. Billions. Yet among this ocean of copper, a few rare survivors possess extraordinary qualities. Some are flawless strikes. Some reveal fascinating minting anomalies. And a tiny fraction, so rare you could spend a lifetime searching, contain errors and conditions so pristine they've broken price records and set collectors into bidding wars that escalate into six-figure territory. What makes this coin worth more than luxury cars, dream homes, or a year's salary on Wall Street? The secret lies in a perfect storm of scarcity, grade, historical relevance, and collector obsession. Picture this. A single 1973 penny graded at the highest possible level, shimmering with its original luster, showing no signs of wear, as if it slipped through time untouched. These are the coins auctioneers describe with hushed excitement. When collectors see one, adrenaline rushes through the room. And when the bids start flying, you can almost feel the tension ripple. Who will blink first? Who wants it badly enough? For the rarest examples, bidding doesn't stop until the numbers start looking more like luxury real estate prices than coin values. That's how this unassuming penny climbed to nearly $1 million. Now imagine what happens when someone finds one unexpectedly. A retired postal worker discovering a high-grade 1973 penny in a coffee can. A man sorting through his grandfather's things and uncovering a coin that would later sell for enough money to pay off his mortgage, his car, and still leave enough for a comfortable retirement. Stories like these aren't myths. They're reminders that wealth sometimes lies not in huge investments, but in knowledge, knowing what to look for and where to look. But here's where the urgency hits. Coins like these are disappearing fast. Collectors are hunting them down. Auction houses are locking them away. Families are passing them down for generations. So the question becomes, will you be the one who acts, or the one who looks back later wishing you had taken this seriously? The beauty of the 1973 penny is that it doesn't require luck. It requires awareness. When examining your coins, start with condition. Is the coin uncirculated? Does it still have a bright copper shine? Are there no visible scratches or wear marks? High-grade coins, especially those certified by top grading companies, are the ones pulling in the highest values. But the real jackpot comes when a coin has a rare mint error. Off-center strikes, double dies, clash dies, even slight misalignments. These flaws, created during minting, turn ordinary pennies into museum-level pieces worth astonishing sums. And yes, a 1973 penny with the right error can reach values high enough to change your financial life instantly. You might be wondering, how does one tiny error turn a 1-cent coin into a six-figure asset? Because serious collectors chase uniqueness. They crave coins that no one else has. Think about it, there may be millions of 1973 pennies, but if only a handful were struck incorrectly, that tiny handful becomes the elite. The objects of desire, the trophies of a lifetime, and when emotion, competition, and rarity collide, prices soar to unbelievable levels. But hold on to this thought for a moment. What if you already walked past one? What if the fortune you're searching for is already in your home? That lingering uncertainty is exactly why people are now triple-checking every penny they come across. Nobody wants to be the person who unknowingly spends $1 million penny on a cup of coffee. The fear of missing out isn't just psychological. It's financially real. There's something powerful about discovering value where no one else bothered to look. It's a reminder that wealth is often closer than we think. And while some people invest thousands into stocks or crypto, others strike gold simply by paying attention to the coins already in their possession. That's the quiet advantage you gain the moment you begin taking pennies seriously. Now, let's address the emotional trigger that keeps seasoned collectors up at night: competition. Every day, more buyers enter the coin market. More collectors chase the same rare pieces. More investors realize that rare coins aren't just historical artifacts. They're portable assets that climb in value year after year. And the 1973 penny, with its unexpected potential, is becoming one of the most sought-after coins of the last decade. While others sleep, some are scanning, sorting, searching. And the ones who move fastest, they are the ones who profit. But here's the real cliffhanger. The highest value 1973 penny known today sold $4,973,000, but will it remain the record? Some experts believe the next perfect grade coin could break 1 million. Imagine being the person who finds it. Imagine being the story everyone talks about in the coin world. Imagine being the person who turned 1 cent into generational wealth. And that's why this moment matters. Because right now, this very moment, you have the opportunity to check your coins, evaluate your jars, empty those drawers, open those old boxes, and potentially discover the fortune hidden inside your own home. Don't underestimate how quickly life can change when knowledge meets action. It has happened before, and it will happen again. The question is, will you be the next one to claim your millionaire penny? As you start your search, remember this simple truth. Wealth rewards the curious, the persistent, the people willing to see value where others see nothing. And today you have the advantage. You know what to look for. You know what it's worth. And you know that somewhere out there, maybe even in your own collection, the next record-breaking 1973 penny is waiting to be found. So before you go, take one final moment to imagine the sound of an auctioneer calling out the final bid on your coin. Imagine seeing that winning number on the screen. Imagine what a life-changing moment looks like, feels like. And remember, it all starts with just 1 penny. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of spare change, and pulling out a coin so valuable it could completely rewrite your financial future. Most people would toss a 1976 penny aside without a second thought, yet that tiny copper piece might be hiding a secret worth up to millions of dollars. And with today's market demand pushing rare examples of the 1976 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny to values as high as $976,000, the real question becomes, what if you've been walking past your own fortune for years? It sounds unbelievable, almost like a story your grandfather would tell just to get you excited about coin collecting. But the truth is, the rarest coins aren't sitting behind museum glass. They're sitting in kitchen drawers, forgotten in glove compartments, or buried at the bottom of old coffee cans. And tonight, you might finally discover whether one of those overlooked pennies is your doorway to wealth, freedom, and a lifestyle most people only dream about. The journey of the 1976 Lincoln penny begins during a time when America was celebrating its bicentennial. It was a year filled with national pride, commemorative designs, and intense coin production. But while the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins received special bicentennial designs, the humble penny remained visually unchanged. That's exactly why people often overlook it. It hides in plain sight, a simple copper coin with Abraham Lincoln's profile, quietly circulating through the decades. But within that ocean of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary examples exist. Coins struck with exceptional errors, flawless surfaces, and rare die characteristics that can send collectors into bidding frenzies. Before we get deeper, ask yourself something. When was the last time you really looked closely at a penny? Not glanced at it, not flipped it into a tip jar, but actually inspected the details. Most people never do. And that's why stories keep surfacing about regular folks stumbling onto coins that change their entire financial trajectory. The fear of missing out is real, because for every person who discovers a rare penny worth 6 figures, there are several others who unknowingly spend theirs on a pack of gum. No pressure, but you might want to check your pockets after this video. The true value of certain 1976 no-mint mark pennies comes from a perfect storm. Extremely high grades, pristine preservation, and rare die variations. Collectors chase coins graded at the highest levels. Mint state conditions where not a single scratch, bruise, or imperfection interrupts the copper sheen. These coins didn't just survive decades. They avoided the harsh jingle of pockets, the scrape of countertops, and the wear of circulation. Some were pulled aside early, others were forgotten in bank-wrapped rolls or hidden in mint-sealed bags. Pure accidents that, today, turn into financial miracles. But rarity alone doesn't create million-dollar price tags. Market demand, investor interest, and emotional attachment to historical eras all play their roles. The bicentennial year carries symbolic weight. It represents patriotism, nostalgia, and a turning point in American culture. When a coin from that year appears with extraordinary quality or a dramatic error, collectors experience something powerful. They feel like they're holding a piece of America's story. That emotional pull translates directly into higher bids and soaring auction prices. Now here's where things get really interesting. Not all 1976 pennies are created equal. Some exhibit doubled dies, where the lettering or date appears slightly shifted or doubled. Others show off-center strikes or rare die cracks that turn the coin into a unique piece of art created by sheer accident. And just when you think you've seen it all, you hear about someone discovering a flawless mint state example in a stash of coins that sat untouched for 40 years. It's like the universe occasionally hands out lottery tickets disguised as pennies. You might wonder how a single penny could be worth $976,000 in today's market. The truth is, collectors and wealthy investors chase the top of the population, those extremely rare specimens graded at the highest possible levels, often MS-68 or higher. Think of it like comparing a common baseball card to a perfectly preserved rookie card found in mint condition. One is ordinary, the other is history sealed in perfection. And perfection in the coin world demands a premium. But this is where the story shifts from curiosity to opportunity. More than 30 million Americans have old coins stored somewhere in their homes. And statistically, thousands of rare pennies are still out there unrecognized. That means someone watching this video today might already own one of the most valuable pennies in the country without realizing it. And the fear of letting such a treasure slip through your hands creates the urgency that motivates collectors and everyday people alike to start searching. Think about how many times you've said you wished you had an opportunity to increase your wealth, to improve your lifestyle, to finally break free from financial limitations. What if that opportunity is literally within arm's reach? Not in a stock market that requires experience, not in a real estate deal that requires capital, but in a coin you already possess. As collectors become hungrier for high-grade examples and as market interest in rare American coins continues to rise, experts predict values could climb even higher. It wouldn't be shocking if a flawless 1976 penny shattered the million-dollar ceiling in the next major auction. Now imagine hearing the news that some lucky person hit that jackpot, only to realize you had a similar coin and never checked. That stings, doesn't it? Your anticipation is probably rising, and good. It should, because the story isn't over yet. The real cliffhanger comes now. Somewhere out there, a few of the rarest 1976 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies haven't been discovered. They're sitting, waiting, quietly aging while their value climbs. And one of them might be closer to you than you think. So the next time you pick up a penny, resist the urge to dismiss it. Look carefully. Study the date, the shine, the details. Ask yourself whether this tiny copper coin could be the seed that grows into a new chapter of your life. One with more freedom, more security, and the kind of wealth that once felt impossible. Because at the end of the day, the difference between someone who finds their million-dollar penny and someone who spends it unknowingly often comes down to just one thing: paying attention. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, walking to that old drawer you haven't opened in years, and realizing a simple brown penny sitting under a pile of paperclips could be worth almost $1 million. Sounds unrealistic, right? But the 1978 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has already shocked collectors, investors, and everyday people by reaching a current market value of $978,000 in top condition. And some rare examples have been projected by experts to climb toward the $1 million mark. The question is, could you be holding one of these life-changing pennies without even knowing it? For many people, coins are just loose change. But for viewers like you, people who understand that wealth often hides in unexpected places, this tiny piece of copper represents possibility, opportunity, and maybe even a doorway to a wealthier lifestyle. The kind of lifestyle most people only talk about but never take action toward. And what makes this story even more thrilling is that these pennies are still out there, buried in jars, tucked in old wallets, and quietly waiting in coin rolls at your local bank. The idea that your next step could lead you directly to a fortune is both electrifying and, let's be honest, a little terrifying. What if you already spent one without knowing? In the late 1970s, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies each year. But not all pennies were created equal. Some left the mint with microscopic variations so rare that only a handful remain in pristine, top-graded condition. The 1978 no-mint mark penny may look like every other penny you've seen, but its value skyrockets when it appears with perfect luster, razor-sharp detail, and almost no contact marks. That's what wealthy collectors pay for: perfection, or at least the closest thing to it. And in the world of high-end numismatics, perfection can turn a small copper coin into a six-figure treasure. Now imagine the excitement of pulling out a penny from your old coin jar and realizing the date reads 1978. Your heart beats faster as you check the surfaces under a bright light, wondering if this could be one of the rare survivors that never endured years of pockets, vending machines, and careless hands. What if this one coin could wipe out debt, fund your children's education, or buy you the luxury car you've always dreamed of? Suddenly, that little penny doesn't seem so little anymore. Of course, this is where fear also creeps in. Because many people look at their old coins but don't truly examine them. They toss aside the coins that could have changed their lives. Imagine knowing that others are finding fortunes in their spare change while you unknowingly spend yours at a gas station. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? But fear can be a powerful motivator. And knowledge is what transforms fear into action. The value of the 1978 no-mint mark penny doesn't just come from rarity. It comes from condition. Coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 are the holy grail, the ones that hit staggering prices like $978,000. But even coins that fall short of perfection can still sell for thousands. That means every 1978 penny you find should be inspected carefully. Front, back, edges, surfaces, the entire coin. Under magnification, even small details can turn an ordinary-looking penny into something remarkable. And here's the twist. Most people don't know what to look for. They assume only old coins have value. They assume only silver or gold coins matter. They assume wealth can't be hiding in something worth 1 cent. Those assumptions have already cost people unimaginable amounts of money. Think about this. How many 1978 pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Did one of them have perfect surfaces? Did you ever pause to check? One question leads to another, turning curiosity into suspense. And yes, even excitement. That's the emotional roller coaster collectors live for, and now you're stepping into the same world. The story gets even more compelling when you consider how few top-graded examples are known to exist. The brutal truth is that almost all 1978 pennies were heavily circulated. People spent them, dropped them, scratched them, cleaned them. Some even ran through washing machines. But the rare examples that escaped circulation almost look frozen in time. Their shine, their detail, the crispness of Lincoln's portrait, they stand out like treasure, and wealthy buyers compete fiercely for them. The last bidding war for a near-perfect 1978 penny shocked the entire numismatic community, pushing the coin into the $900,000 range and sending a message. Extraordinary pennies command extraordinary prices. Imagine an auction room buzzing with anticipation as the numbers climb higher. People whispering, collectors tightening their ties, investors gripping paddles, and then, bam! The hammer falls at a price no one expected. Penny becomes a luxury asset, a millionaire's collector's piece, a symbol of rarity, history, and status. And somewhere, the person who originally found that penny is sitting at home, stunned, wondering how a small decision, simply checking an old coin, turned into life-changing money. But here's where things get even more interesting. You haven't seen the full picture yet, because the climb in value isn't stopping. Experts believe that the demand for high-grade vintage pennies will continue to rise as more collectors enter the market and fewer untouched specimens are found. It's a shrinking supply paired with a rising demand, a perfect storm for record-breaking prices. You're watching history repeat itself, and every day that passes, more circulated coins get damaged or lost. The window to find these hidden gems isn't closing yet, but it is narrowing. And here's the cliffhanger. Some coin specialists have hinted that an ultra-high-grade 1978 penny, one even more flawless than the ones already known, could smash previous records and head straight into multi-million-dollar territory. It would become a centerpiece in a private collection, a generational treasure, the kind of coin people whisper about for decades. But has it already been found? Or is it still sitting in someone's basement, in a jar, waiting for the right pair of eyes to discover it? That possibility should make every viewer pause. Before you rush to your coin jars, there's a final thought to consider. Opportunities like this rarely come twice. Wealth often hides in plain sight, but only those who look closely, act quickly, and stay informed are able to seize it. Your 1978 penny could be worth 1 cent, or it could be worth $978,000. The difference is whether you take the time to check. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and realizing that a single 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny, something you've probably seen thousands of times in your life, could be worth up to $980,000. Almost $1 million. From 1 cent sounds unbelievable, right? Yet stories like this aren't fairy tales. They're real, they're happening, and they're happening to ordinary people who never expected a tiny copper coin to change their entire financial future. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this unassuming penny holds life-changing value, how you can find one, and what to do if you already own one without realizing it. It begins with a simple truth. Wealth often hides in plain sight. The 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of the most overlooked coins in American pockets. A coin millions of people held casually, spent carelessly, or tossed into drawers without a second thought. But hidden among those ordinary pennies are rare survivors. Coins struck with extraordinary precision. Coins with striking die characteristics. Coins that collectors chase with passionate obsession. And a few of them are priceless enough to change the direction of someone's life. What makes this coin so desirable? Part of the answer lies in its era. The year 1980 sat at the crossroads of shifting minting standards, evolving die use, and intense demand for stable copper coins. Back then, the Philadelphia Mint produced massive quantities of pennies, and coins without a mint mark were entirely normal. Most were produced with routine quality, mass manufacturing, and the typical wear-and-tear expectations of circulation. But a small number emerged with exceptional strike clarity. That perfect copper glow, razor-sharp details, flawless surfaces, and virtually no contact marks. These premium examples, preserved intentionally or accidentally, command jaw-dropping prices at auction today. And the higher the grade, the higher the value. One exceptional piece recently reached a staggering market value of $980,000. Now, here's the part most people overlook. You might assume only seasoned collectors or wealthy investors have access to such coins. But the truth is that rare million-dollar pennies have surfaced from ordinary households far more often than from professional collections. Someone who inherited a dusty coffee can full of loose change. Someone who emptied their glove compartment after 20 years. Someone who saved their childhood coin jar without realizing they were sitting on a fortune. Could the same be true for you? Before you dismiss the idea, think about something. How many 1980 pennies have passed through your hands over the last 40 years? Hundreds? Thousands? Tens of thousands? What if just one of them wasn't like the rest? As grading standards evolved, collectors began to recognize that the finest examples of common-date coins can become rare treasures. The 1980 penny is no exception. When perfectly preserved, this coin transforms from pocket change to investment-grade art. And yes, art is the right word. Under magnification, the crisp lines of Lincoln's profile, the smooth reflective fields, and the flawless copper sheen become something mesmerizing. It's no wonder bidders compete ruthlessly for the top examples. Beauty and rarity together create a value multiplier strong enough to push even the humblest denomination to astronomical prices. You may be wondering how rare your coin must be to reach values approaching $1 million. This is where things get thrilling. The coin market rewards perfection. A nearly flawless 1980 penny graded at the highest possible mint state levels becomes the ultimate trophy for elite collectors. Think of it like real estate. Location and condition determine everything. A rundown property in a great neighborhood can lose value, but a pristine, untouched gem in the same place becomes a goldmine. Likewise, a circulated 1980 penny is worth a cent, but a mint-perfect one is a life-changing asset. And here's where the urgency comes in. The market for top-tier vintage pennies is hotter than ever before. Collectors are aggressively buying up the best examples, and as these coins disappear into private collections, the supply shrinks dramatically. Once locked away, they rarely return to the open market. Demand increases, rarity intensifies, and prices surge even higher. It's simple economics, but applied to something so small, so iconic, and so deceptively ordinary that most people overlook it entirely. But before we go further, let me ask you something. Have you checked your old penny collection lately? Or have you been letting it sit somewhere, untouched, collecting dust and quietly holding potential wealth? If you haven't looked in a while, that might be the biggest financial mistake you're making this year. Because the next breakthrough discovery, the next coin to hit a record, the next penny to sell for near $1 million, could be sitting in a coin folder, a closet, or a forgotten drawer in your home. Let's talk about why collectors go wild for this particular coin. Aside from condition, a 1980 penny can have subtle variations that drastically magnify its value. Some display early die states with unusually sharp detail. Others show immaculate surfaces that seem to glow. A few exhibit rarely seen planchet clarity. These features may sound technical, but their financial impact is massive. Each unique characteristic becomes another reason for a collector to bid higher, push harder, and pay more. And don't forget the emotional appeal. The Lincoln penny is one of America's most nostalgic coins. Generations grew up with it. Families handed them out for chores. Veterans saved them from paychecks. Parents passed them to children as tiny reminders of hard work and hope. When nostalgia mixes with rarity, prices can skyrocket. Collectors aren't just buying copper, they're buying history, memories, and a piece of the American story. Now, imagine the moment you discover that your own coin might be worth real money. Your heart races, your palms sweat a little, and suddenly you're handling the coin like it's made of glass. That sense of excitement is exactly what motivates collectors, and exactly what you should feel right now. Because fortune doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. It often whispers from inside a penny jar. Before you rush off to search every drawer you've ever owned, let me give you one more cliffhanger. Most people who own valuable coins never realize it until it's too late. They give them away, they spend them, or they lose them among the clutter of everyday life. Don't be that person. The difference between an overlooked penny and a life-changing payday comes down to one thing. Awareness. If you find a 1980 penny in excellent condition, do not clean it, do not rub it, do not shine it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Instead, store it carefully and get it professionally graded. A certified high-grade coin instantly becomes a sought-after asset. And once graded, its value becomes undeniable. The window of opportunity is open right now, but it won't stay open forever. Wealthy collectors are aggressively acquiring top-tier coins, and once supply tightens further, prices may surge beyond the reach of ordinary sellers. You do not want to realize too late that you missed the chance to sell for life-changing money at the perfect moment. So here's the final question that could alter your financial future. Will you take the next step? Will you dig through those old containers, those dusty drawers, those boxes you haven't opened in decades? Or will you let the opportunity pass you by while others claim the rewards? The 1980 mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a reminder that fortune favors those who look closely, act decisively, and believe that their financial breakthrough may be much closer than they think. And who knows, the next American millionaire made by a penny might be you. Welcome back. Before you even think of tossing that old jar of pennies sitting in the back of your closet, let me ask you something. What if one of those coins, a simple copper-colored cent you've walked past 1,000 times, could be worth nearly $1 million today? What if the key to transforming your financial future has been hiding in plain sight, right under your fingertips? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the 1982 mint Mark Lincoln penny has become one of the most electrifying treasures in American coin collecting history, and why its value has surged to an astonishing $982,000 in today's market. But hold on, this story gets even bigger. It begins with a moment in American minting history that most people never think about. In 1982, the United States Mint faced rising copper prices that made the production of traditional solid copper pennies too expensive. So halfway through the year, something dramatic changed. The mint shifted from copper to a copper-coated zinc composition. A tiny adjustment on paper, but in reality, one that unleashed a whirlwind of unexpected errors, anomalies, and rare combinations that collectors now hunt like buried gold. And somewhere in that transitional chaos, a small number of 1982 pennies were struck with the wrong composition, wrong weight, or wrong die varieties, coins that should not exist but do. These few coins slip silently through circulation for decades. You may have one. And the question is, what would you do if you found out you were holding one of the rarest pennies ever created? Before we get to the real reason these coins are worth up to millions, let's clear up something that confuses even seasoned collectors. The 1982 penny exists in multiple versions: large date, small date, copper, zinc, and each one has its own story. But the D-Mint Mark varieties carry some of the most shocking price tags today. The Denver Mint was producing massive quantities that year, and in that sea of pennies, a few extraordinary anomalies emerged. Imagine billions of identical coins, and then imagine a tiny handful that break the rules entirely. That's why collectors go wild over these pieces. They aren't just coins, they're accidents of history. Now, before you decide this is nothing more than hype, think of the last time you heard someone say, "Ah, it's just a penny." Isn't it funny how that phrase has cost people fortunes? People threw away first edition comic books, original movie posters, vinyl records, even cars that would now sell for millions. Humanity has a long tradition of overlooking the very things that later define luck, wealth, or legacy. Could this be another one of those moments? Yes. And that's exactly why you need to keep watching, because the details that separate a penny worth 1 cent from one worth nearly $1 million are easy to miss. Unless you know where to look. One of the most heart-pounding discoveries today involves finding a 1982 transitional error coin with the wrong metal composition. The difference can be so subtle that you wouldn't catch it unless someone told you. Copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams. Zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams. Doesn't sound like much, right? But that tiny difference could mean the difference between pocket change and generational wealth. Imagine placing a penny on a small scale, seeing the number flash 3.11, and suddenly realizing you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a financial life raft. A coin that collectors pay up to $982,000 for because only a microscopic number of them exist in the world. It's the kind of discovery that makes your heart skip a beat, and maybe even your mortgage payments. But wait, this is where the tension builds. Because millions of Americans have 1982 pennies lying around. Tons of them. So why hasn't everyone become a millionaire yet? Because very few know which one to look for. Most people never weigh their pennies. Most people don't check the date shape, whether it's large or small. Most people don't compare their coin's details to verified rare specimens. And that ignorance, yes, ignorance, is exactly what makes the survivors even more valuable. Scarcity grows every single day. Collectors are scrambling to secure these rare 1982 coins before the prices shoot even higher, and the window of opportunity closes. We're witnessing a coin boom disguised as pocket change. Let's lean into that reality for a moment. Imagine the regret of someone who had one of these rare pennies but tossed it into a Coinstar machine for a store credit. Imagine finding out you could have been sitting on nearly $1 million. Fear is a powerful motivator, and honestly, it should be. Because if you don't check the pennies you own right now, someone else might find them later. Someone who knows exactly what they're worth. And they'll be the ones walking into a coin auction with a grin, watching the bidding climb higher and higher until it hits life-changing numbers. You don't want to be the one who missed out simply because you didn't look. Now here's where the excitement starts to take off. Collectors aren't just buying these coins out of passion anymore. They're buying them because rare pennies like the 1982D transitional varieties have become high-value investment assets. They've jumped from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands, with top-tier examples hitting that $982,000 mark. And that kind of value growth has turned everyday Americans into serious treasure hunters. People in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s are discovering coins in jars, garages, inherited boxes, or personal collections that they never bothered to check before. You could be one of them. The most incredible part? Most of these discoveries happen completely by accident. But fortune favors the prepared. Let's say, just for a moment, that you find a 1982D penny and it weighs the heavier 3.11 grams. What next? That's where professional grading comes into play. A coin authenticated and graded by top-tier agencies can explode in value because buyers trust that certification. But there's another twist. Condition matters dramatically. A worn-down rare penny is still valuable, but a crisp, well-preserved example? That's where the million-dollar dreams come alive. Collectors want perfection, and perfection is rare. The fewer high-grade specimens that surface, the faster prices accelerate. The simple economics dressed in copper. This is where everything we've talked about connects. The scarcity, the errors, the composition changes, the grading, the rising demand, all culminating in a perfect storm that propels coins like the 1982D transitional penny to astonishing heights. And here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Even as you're watching this right now, new discoveries are still being made. People in ordinary homes are suddenly holding extraordinary wealth. Not long ago, a man found one in a pile of random change and walked away with enough money to buy a new home outright. So what if the next story is yours? What if the next person to uncover a $982,000 penny is sitting right where you are? Let that idea sit with you for a second, and ask yourself, when this video ends, are you going to walk past that old jar of pennies again? Or are you going to pick it up, dust it off, and start the search that could change your life forever? The opportunity is real, the stakes are high, and the window, closing faster than most people realize. So take action. Look closely, weigh your pennies, examine every detail, because wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or lottery tickets. Sometimes, it comes from the smallest coin in your pocket, if you're lucky enough, wise enough, and bold enough to see it. And who knows, maybe that life-changing penny has already been waiting for you.